Welcome back to another amazing episode of Day Trips. Gina and I here are off to some awesome day trips. Where are you off to today?
I am headed to the Black Hawk Automotive Museum, which I think our viewers are going to be in for a real treat with because it's so much more than just cars. So I'm excited.
So true. I've been there. It's an awesome day trip. I know you're going to have a good time.
I think so too.
I'm actually heading off to Ruth Bancroft Garden in Walnut Creek. I'm going to learn what what her plan was when she built this incredible garden. So
that sounds amazing.
It's going to be incredible. So you know what? Let's trade war stories when we get back.
All right. I'll see you back at the campground.
All right. See you, Scotts.
At the beautiful Black Hawk Museum today, literally one of my favorite places and like my second home, as you can attest. And I'm here with Ed Holloway. He's the director of Docents, who's going to be taking us on our tour today. So Ed, can you tell us a little bit about what we're going to see?
We're going to see some very exciting things happening now and developing for the future.
Perfect.
It started out as a car museum in 1988, and then we developed into Art of Africa, Spirit of the Old West about 3 years ago. Then we developed in Art of Africa, and then to be opening next year, end of this year and next year, is into China and then natural history.
I'm excited.
Really exciting things.
Very exciting. And let's head on in and then you can show us a little bit about what you're talking about. So now we're heading into Art of Africa.
Right. Okay. This is our African exhibit. It's a permanent exhibit that opened about a year ago, and it's ongoing. And it's the Maasai tribe, which is of the Serengeti area of Africa, which is Kenya and Tanzania.
And I love how all the pieces, it's one of my favorite things, they're all carved out of wood, correct? One piece of wood?
This is ebony wood, and this is from one single piece of wood.
It's incredible.
It amazes me how they can do this.
I know.
And
the Great Migration is one piece of wood too, right?
Yeah. Right. This is a wonderful exhibit. The Great Migration every year is the wildebeest animals, and they travel many miles to more fertile grounds, about 1 million every year. And they're attacked by crocodiles when they're crossing a couple rivers. They die of hunger and thirst and natural disease en route. They do this every year. It's very dramatic.
How many make it?
They lose about 200,000 to 300,000.
1,000?
Yeah, from various things. But they come back and they give birth to more. So about it's made up about 500,000 are come back with them. Yeah.
Talk about the circle of life.
Yeah, it's a very exciting thing to watch.
That's amazing.
So every year, and not only wildebeest, but other types of animals do the same migration.
Okay.
But it's very exciting. We had a woman come in last week that said that this was the most wonderful exhibit she's seen on Africa, and she's been to several of them, and we're very proud of this museum.
I am too. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Right, and then I know we just opened Spirit of the Old West upstairs, so let's head up there and show everybody.
Great idea.
This is also one of my favorite exhibits.
Great.
So now we're heading into Spirit of the Old West.
Spirit of the Old West is a wonderful collection of the artifacts on the Oregon Trail on one side, and on the other side of the Northern Plains Indian, Lakota Sioux. Very wonderful exhibit, tastefully done and with total respect to the Indian movement.
Absolutely. And then such detail. That's one of my favorite parts about it. There's so much detail that goes into everything in this museum.
This is purchased by a fellow who had a trading post. It's called the Tecumseh Trading Post in Cody, Wyoming.
Oh, wow.
And wanted to sell it all, and Ken Behring bought it all. I love the buffalo. The buffalo was was everything to the Indian. It provided clothing and food and housing, the teepees.
Oh, I
They
didn't
owned their
know
whole
that.
lives to the buffalo, and that's why they followed them all over to maintain their lifestyle.
And that makes sense why it's a focal point when you walk in.
Exactly.
I did not realize that.
Let me show you something really quite wonderful. This is this wonderful diorama. It's 140 feet wide. It's probably the widest, the longest diorama in the country. We have it right here in Danville.
That's incredible.
64 different events, from hunting buffalo to the Pony Express, Wells Fargo stage to Custer's Last Stand, Buffalo Bill's Wild West. It has it all. 64 different events.
That's
With over 9,000 of these little toys, the little soldiers that we might have played with when we were kids. Over 9,000 of them on display. And it follows the Oregon Trail as well. Absolutely incredible.
It is incredible. And one of my favorite parts, actually, speaking about the toys, is I remember when I first got a tour of this, David had showed me, and maybe we can put it out for everyone to try and find, but hidden in some of the mountains up top, you'll find like stormtroopers, the Death Star,
Yes.
things from Star Wars. I think he said there's an abominable snowman somewhere, which I think is so fun because there's a lot of kids' tours that come through here, right?
Yes. You know, the Oregon Trail was a very important part of American history. It was a great migration. It was called 300,000 to 400,000 people from Independence, Missouri to the West Coast for 3 different purposes.
Wow.
Free land in Oregon, gold in California, religious freedom in Utah for the Mormons. So there were 3 major trails. They went along the Oregon Trail. This is what's called a prairie schooner, much smaller than a Calistoga wagon. Mainly meant to provide transportation to supplies and a few precious family items. Most people walk the 2,000 miles from Independence to the West Coast.
Talk about getting your steps in with that one.
Yeah.
No, this is fascinating because Oregon Trail was always one of my favorite games to play on the computer as a child, but actually coming in here and reading and touring, you do learn so much and you don't realize what they went through.
It's very exciting, and you're looking at artifacts, you're looking at period weapons, and with some concentration on the missions and the gold rush.
Okay.
In fact, the 5th graders in our county, they've studied the Oregon Trail. So this is the natural. We have busloads of kids coming here all the time.
That's amazing.
Because we have
What
is
they're
the best.
studying.
There's only one other Western museum that I know of, and that's the Gene Autry down in Burbank, and this is a very different approach. I think a
Definitely.
more realistic approach.
And very interactive. I
Yes.
love how you have so many things that they can interact with, you know, between the spinning wheels and
Yes.
touching so that they can hear, along with the interactive mural
Very
over there.
exciting.
It is. It's really one of a kind. It's
Yes.
incredible. Yeah. And then speaking of the missions, I don't know if you want to talk about this. I remember doing mine. I was 4th grade though. But if we want to talk about the missions, you guys
Well, let's take a quick
display
walk.
one, correct?
This is a composite of various missions. In the middle, we have some missions projects that were put together by various school groups
That's
that we have on
so
display.
fun. I love it. And I love the murals. They're so pretty. They're hand painted, correct?
They're hand painted. And we have some emphasis on gold, the gold rush.
Okay.
And over here is the women trailblazers, some of the important women in the early parts of the state, the first doctor, the first attorney, that type of thing. Very nice display.
It is. It's beautiful.
Give rightful credit to women in our state.
Well, thank you. No, this is such an amazing exhibit. I mean, I don't think people can quite grasp how amazing and beautiful and the gravity of it until they come and visit. So we highly encourage them to come down. So now do you want to head downstairs to
That's a deal.
what
Let's do
founded the
that.
museum in our cars?
Yes.
Okay, let's go.
We have quite a few various types of cars. We have some early Stanley steamers. This is a 1902 Stanley steamer.
Wow.
It looks like a buggy with horse and buggy, and how it grew transitioned to this 1908 Stanley steamer. In the early days, Stanley steamers and electric cars were the thing until gasoline caught on and became more practical.
And is that when they became a carpet cleaner? Because I didn't even know Stanley Steamer was a car until just now. Like, I didn't.
No, actually it started off as a sewing machine company
Oh my
before they
God.
got involved in
Wow.
cars. But anyways,
The things you learn.
This is a Lincoln 39 Lincoln Zephyr, but as you can see, it's custom made.
I love the tires.
Yes. And we have like early cars, and we have classics, and we have some, you know, all the way up to Ferraris and Aston Martins and things like that.
We even have Eleanor from Gone in 60 Seconds, right?
Yes, you know that.
I do. That was one of my favorite movies. And I've noticed you're going to let us step behind the velvet ropes with these cars over here. So I'm excited because they are some of my favorite.
I would like to point out a couple, I think, special cars that we have in
I
the
would love
collection.
that. I would love that.
One of the great cars that we have on display is this 48 Bentley. It's called a one-off. A one-off is a one-time car design, only designed car for this model.
So it's the only one of its kind.
One of its kind, designed by a fellow named Jacques Salchek. And Salchek was a exquisite designer, actually from Russia. He came over and came up with these incredible design cars. This took best of class at Pebble Beach a few years ago, so it was one of our treasured displays, and it's owned by one of our docents at the museum.
That's amazing. I love just the one-of-the-kind things that are in here. It really makes the museum stand out, and who knew you had such a special piece of history right here in Danville?
Some years ago, Enzo Ferrari wanted Carroll Shelby to be a race driver for his team. And he told him how much, and Carroll said, "How much am I going to be paid?" And he told him, and he said, "Well, I can't afford to drive for that amount." And Enzo said, "Well, you should be privileged to drive for me. It doesn't matter what I pay you." And Carroll said, "I can't afford that privilege or that pleasure." So he went ahead and developed this wonderful car, the Cobra, with the Ford 427 engine. It was almost like a race car. It was very fast, very light. And this belonged to Dick Smothers, the entertainer. This was his personal car.
Oh, really?
So we're glad to have it with us.
That's incredible. Incredible. All right, and then
let me show you these two.
The Rolls Royces, they're my favorite.
Yes. These are two special cars from 1937. One is a 37 Packard, and the other is a Rolls Royce Phantom 3. Now the Packard is wonderful because this is the only custom town car limousine in 1937. It's nice that we have it here.
Definitely.
144-inch wheelbase. I'm not sure who owned the car, but it's nice to have a one-off. In 1937, they made about 18,000 Packards, which was one of their better years.
Okay.
And they only made one of these.
Wow. How many one-offs do you think we have in this museum?
Oh, that's an interesting. They come and go. I couldn't dare. Right now, we probably have 6 or 7.
That's a lot.
Yeah, not a bad. This is a 1937 Rolls-Royce Phantom 3.
Wow.
Every Rolls-Royce had a custom body by various coach builders, and this was bodied in London. But then later, in 1948, it was rebodied to what we see here, with the copper and the gold and the special instruments. This here was hand painted. That's not stenciled on.
Wow.
That was hand painted and added many hours and much more to the price of the car.
It's beautiful and so intricate.
Yes. This car took best of class in Pebble Beach a few years ago.
Wow.
Very, very nice car, very unique.
It's gorgeous.
Lucky to have it.
Oh, well, we're lucky to have you. So I just want to thank you for taking the time to tour us around. As our founder of Scott says, it's 65,000 square feet of opulent luxury, and you toured it gorgeously. So I know you have a job to do. I'm going to take them and show them about the event space, but I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time.
It was fun. It was my pleasure. Let's do it again.
Real estate. Is it a good time to buy, or is it a good time to sell here in the Bay? My name is Greg McDaniel, and I've been a real estate agent for just under 20 years. My father, our principal broker, got into the business 47 years ago, and together with our team have helped hundreds of families buy and sell. And then we can advise you as well if it's the right time for you to buy or sell. The number on the bottom of the screen will go directly to us. If you guys want to have a conversation, we look forward to it and have a great day. Today we're here with Gretchen, the executive director of Ruth Bancroft Gardens. Gretchen, thanks for having me.
You're so welcome.
You know what?
Glad
I'm
to have you.
excited to be here. I have taken a look at your garden, and it is gorgeous. And there are some gigantic plants out here. Tell me, what was I looking at? The gigantic
Agaves.
agaves.
Yes, they're the biggest of the succulents, and they're quite impressive.
Impressive is an easy way of putting it. When I walk past them, I'm 6'5", and I look small next to a couple of
Right,
them.
right.
Tell me a little bit about the history of the garden.
Well, the Ruth Bancroft Garden was started by Ruth in 1972. She was a plant enthusiast and she'd been collecting succulents for 20 years. And at that point, her husband, Phil, who was a farmer, had to rip out all his walnut trees. And he gave her these 3 acres.
Oh no,
and
Phil.
said, why don't you put those plants that you've been collecting in the ground? So she was so excited, and she laid out the garden and began it. And she decided that it had to be all dry garden.
Okay.
She was enamored of succulents and cactus. And so she put them in the garden, and she was the very first in this area to show that you could grow plants from all over the world that are drought tolerant here in California.
So funny story about succulents. Many years ago, because my day job is a real estate agent, right? I was door knocking in a neighborhood in Alamo, and I just moved into my condo, and I talked to this lady. She had her entire front porch was covered in succulents, and I said, I'm a single bachelor. Is there a plant I can't kill? And so she's like, I have the plants for you. She went in the back, she ripped out a bunch of the succulents out of the ground, put them in a starter kit for me, and I still have one alive today. So I can attest that they do live in dry ground.
They do. They thrive on neglect.
And I am, what does that say about me? So why don't we do this? Can we go for a walk and kind of walk me through the different parts of the garden and
Yep.
show me the
Yep.
areas I can't kill?
Sure, I
Okay.
will. I will do that.
Okay.
I want to just point out that
Yes.
we have a brand new building
You
at
do?
the garden. This is our visitor and education center. And besides having this beautiful garden, our mission is to educate people about drought tolerant plants.
Okay.
So this building, we hold lots of classes, we hold lots of social events, and all the members of the garden can come here and learn from each other. And it's been a lot of fun. We just opened it up in June.
That is fantastic information.
We're here deep in the garden where I wanted to show you some of our most dramatic plants, my favorites. We have tree aloes here with the curly leaves. These babies pop out in February.
Really?
And they put on a great show. They put out these big orange torches. And Ruth took care that she had something blooming all year round. And these are from the other side of the world, so they bloom in the winter. And they come out in January and February and kind of light up our lives.
So you say other side of the world, where exactly are they from?
They're from the South Africa and South America and the lower hemisphere and the eastern hemisphere.
So everywhere I want to go is where I can go
Right.
see these in their natural habitat.
Exactly.
This is about 3.5 acres.
Yes.
You know, I think that as we were walking through this, I have seen a variety of plants that I just don't see everywhere.
Right.
What's a plant that you actually would highlight for someone to come in to see? If they're going to see one plant in here, we saw the agave, we've seen these guys from down south. Is there another one that you would say, you know what, this is just something you really need to see because it's super special? Because you pointed out a special tree to me.
That's right. The brachychiton tree. I would say probably our most popular plant is an echeveria. It's a soft succulent.
Echeveria.
Echeveria, and it's mostly beautiful for its leaves, which are juicy and produce a beautiful rosette.
Really?
And those, along with aeoniums, which come from the Canary Islands, are probably the most popular because they're not too spiky and spiny and off-putting, and they grow very easily. They take a lot of sun. Some of them take some shade too, so they're great for containers and porches and entries, and they're just hardy as hardy can be.
So they're a plant that I couldn't kill.
Pretty close.
Okay, well, you want to go show it to me?
Sure.
Let's go.
Yeah. I wanted to show you this pond which Ruth and her husband put in 40 some years ago, and we just renovated it and expanded it.
Great.
It's a great focal point for lots of wildlife that come, ducks and hummingbirds and all the raccoons and foxes. And we have every kind of plant around here to make it especially attractive. We have our yuccas, we have our cycads, we have some of the aeoniums, which love it here, and lily pads, of course, which are beautiful.
You know, the reason why I love listening to you is because you blow my mind with what you're talking about. You lost me at the lake. or pond. You know, the thing I like about this is the fact, Gretchen, I see that up in the blooming area here, there's a lot of bees that are up there. We know that bees are kind of, well, they're not having a very good life cycle right now.
Right.
So we want to make sure we can, keep the bee population going. And I love the fact to watch it. It's like a living, like you said, a living piece of art. It's above us.
Humming. And
It's
all the
literally
hummingbirds
humming.
in the garden are not territorial like they are everywhere else. They don't have to fight each other because we have so much habitat for them. So you see them all over the place, and they're very happy and relaxed and hang out for a long time.
Man, if I was a hummingbird, I'd hang out here.
It really makes it fun.
So what are we going to look at next?
We're going to go check out those echeverias I told you about. We're coming to a corner where there's just about every kind of cool succulent you can imagine. These are part of the aloes. We were looking at the tree aloes before.
Yeah.
Here's just a regular aloe. Well, not like regular. It's pretty cool looking. It looks almost
really
like an
cool.
octopus, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about these. You said this is a really good representation
Yes.
of what the whole garden kind of has to offer. Is
Yes.
that correct?
And the really special ones, which are especially coveted by people in Asia, these echeverias.
These?
They're soft. Yes. The leaves are beautiful.
Oh, they are soft.
When they bloom, the flowers go way high up, but they aren't half as beautiful as the leaves themselves. This is a variety called lace. Obviously, it looks like lace. But there's all different kinds. These are also aloes here and
Down here?
right down in there.
Oh, that's neat.
And then another kind, which is very also soft and beautiful, is an aeonium. You can see this aeonium and those taller aeoniums. And this was the very first plant that Ruth fell in love with. There's one sitting right over there with an echeveria right underneath it.
I see that.
They like to have a little shade, which is why she had her husband build this shade structure back in the 70s. And then you have another beautiful aloe, different kind, sitting right in the middle there with the pinkish leaves and the spikes along the side. So it's a kind of a great variety.
Before we go home, I think we're going to go take a look at the retail garden,
for sure.
right?
Retail nursery. Yep.
Retail nursery. All right,
Yep.
lead the way. Let's go see some
Okay.
stuff people can buy.
Sounds good.
We're here in the retail garden, right? This is where folks, after they go through your garden, or actually I might say Ruth's garden, they can come in here and they take a little bit of a piece with them home.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about what we're standing in right now, because there's a lot happening here of some amazing plants.
Yes. Well, we are here probably in the most popular section where it's easy to grow these. We have sedum, we have the gasteria I was pointing out before, we have the echeveria. These are kalanchoes, which are, you see them all over Africa, but they do great in
nice.
California, and I like them because they have a lot of color. They
Right.
come out with beautiful flowers, red, different gorgeous red flowers in the winter. So people like to see what they find at the garden, and then we have great help with the nursery staff that'll tell you what's going to work in your yard. You tell them what's your exposure, if you can grow in plants, if you can grow in the ground, in pots. They'll help you figure out what's going to work. If you like the spiky things, we've got tiny spiky things that aren't too bad to grow. And you can see them over there. Some of them are even blooming, cute little cacti with the most adorable flowers coming out of them. So you could start small with the cacti, and they last and last and last, of course. They're famous.
Now, how can people get a hold of you, come down and schedule a tour, maybe come in and purchase some plants for their yard?
We're
How can
open
people get a hold
every
of you?
day, Tuesday through Sunday, 10 to 4, 10 to 5 on the weekends. And we have a wonderful website, ruthbancroftgarden.org. And you can find out what's happening by going on the website. We have events all the time. We have regularly scheduled tours on the weekends. And we always have the nursery staff open. And you can pay to take a tour at the garden or join and be able to go anytime. Or you can always come to the nursery and browse. It's always free to look and check it out.
Well, guys, there it is. This is Ruth Bancroft Garden. Phenomenal opportunity for a day trip. Come on in, say hi to Gretchen, our dear friend of the show. She is a wealth of knowledge. She
Ask
will
for me. I love to talk
ask
to
for her.
everybody.
I did it when I came here the other day. She popped right on out and she was fantastic.
Okay.
So, Gretchen, thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Really
Great.
appreciated
Good
it.
to see you too.
So now that you guys have seen all the exhibits, one of the things that makes the museum extremely special is we also host numerous events here, from weddings to bar mitzvahs, birthday parties, corporate events. We literally do it all, and it is exclusively catered by Scott's Seafood. We can fit up to 500 people seated in this dining room, which is very rare in this area, and mixed throughout we can have up to 1,500. In fact, coming up in October, we will have our yearly Black Hawk Magic Halloween party that all of you are more than welcome to attend. In fact, I'm extending you the invitation now. Go on to eventbrite.com and you can sign up to attend our one-of-a-kind Halloween party here at the museum. Should you want to book an event, again, feel free to give me a call. You can call me either at the restaurant at, again, 925-934-1300, or you can reach me up here to book an event at the museum at 925-381-8076. So much fun today.
That's the understatement of the day.
Right.
Such a good time, so much learned. It is incredible. You know, the thing I've learned about the Bay Area is that we're never run out of day trips. There's always something you can do with a family or on a date or anything else.
There really is. It's such an incredible place to live.
Now, what is also incredible is
the crab and avocado sandwich.
Oh my gosh, it's my favorite here at
Salad,
Scott's.
yes, it is my favorite too, and it's actually one of our most popular dishes on the items, or on the menu. But
Wow.
this is, yeah, our crab and avocado salad. You'll see why. So much crab in it.
Stop talking, start eating.
Deal.
Oh my gosh.
This is my favorite.
I think they have a whole crab in here.
They probably do. And what pairs better with the crab and avocado salad than some Scott's wine?
I love it. Gina, to you, to Day Trips, and to another show.
And to you guys ending your day with us here at Scott's in Walnut Creek.